What's up everyone? Welcome back to Code Porn. In this episode, we're going to take a look at how to pass large datasets to a SQL Server stored procedure. But first, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes, and if you want to support the channel, check out our Patreon page. Alright, when it comes to SQL, it can be really annoying when you need to pass an array of data to a stored procedure. There are some common workarounds, such as passing in a comma-separated string, and then parsing out the values inside of the stored procedure, but that's far from an optimal solution. Not to mention when you need to pass in an actual data set or a collection of objects. Another workaround is to bulk insert the data into a staging table, then invoke a storage procedure which will work off of the staging table, but again, depending on what you're trying to do, this is far from optimal. So how do we do it? Well, it's actually very simple. Introduced in SQL 2000, we have the ability to create a new table data type, which acts just like a normal table does, except that it's in memory. SQL also gives us the ability to create custom data types. So we're going to create a custom data type using the in-memory table structure as the basis for this type. Let's check that out. First thing, we're going to load up the AdventureWorks database and create a stored procedure. In this instance, we need to create a stored procedure that returns a list of customers based on a given set of zip codes. So, we'll create a stored proc called getCustomersByZipCode. And this stored procedure will use the individual customer view from the sales schema. Now you might be thinking, why not just have the stored procedure accept an in-memory table as a parameter? Well, the answer to that is because it's not possible. Plus, that would just make it too easy, right? So, what we'll do is create a new custom type called zipCodeList using the createType syntax, using an in-memory table as the base. The table will contain a single column called zip, and it'll be in nvarchar15, just like the postal code column in the view is. Of course, you can add as many columns as you like to this type, but for this demo, we're only using one column. After execution, we now have a new type stored in SQL Server called zipCodeList, and we can use that wherever we like. To demonstrate, let's finish up our store proc. First, we'll use the new type as a parameter in the procedure definition. Now, one thing we need to do differently though, is we need to apply the read-only keyword, which is required by SQL Server. Now, the reason for this is very technical and beyond the scope of this video, so you can go and Google that and check it out on your own. Now, inside the procedure, we'll just use a select statement against the view, and we'll inner join on our zip code list to provide the filtering. So now let's execute this. First, we'll declare our list using our custom type. Then we insert our values. And finally, we execute the procedure, passing in our zip code list as the parameter. That's all there is to it. Of course, as I mentioned, we can create a more complex type. The process is the same, except that you add more columns to the data type definition. Think of the columns as properties on a C# object. Now, it's important to note that you cannot alter a type that you've created once you've created it. If you want to change it, you'll have to drop and then recreate the type, but before you do that, you'll have to drop anything that uses that type first. So for example, we would have to drop our stored procedure and then drop our type. Okay, I'm sure you're more interested in how to make this work from C#, so let's take a look at that. Now for this demo, we're just using a simple console application and ADO.NET. If you're familiar with ADO.NET, then the only difference here is the parameter setup. First off, we create a data table with the definition that matches the custom type we set up in SQL. In this case, it only has a single string-based column called zipcode. If you've set up a custom type with more than one column, just add the rest of them to the table definition here. Next up, we populate the data table with rows of the data that we want to pass in to the stored procedure. The rest of this is just basic ADO.NET, setting the connection and the command. When we add the parameter type, we need to specify that the type is structured. That's the key. Of course, we pass in our data table as the parameter value. Open the connection, execute the command, and then close the connection. From here, we can iterate over the results. Again, we can do this with a much more complex data type, just add more columns to the table. Some of you might look at this and think it's archaic and outdated, it's old because it's ADO.NET, but you would be wrong. It's actually very useful when you're trying to build high-performance applications or high-performance features dealing with data, and as far as I know, this is not yet supported using Entity Framework. But if I'm wrong, go ahead and leave me a comment and let me know. Alright, that's it for this episode. Be sure to subscribe, and if you like this video, click the like button or leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.